And this year, but they made one but two great acquisitions, getting perhaps at least two of the best three available bats that were out there in Josh Naylor and the return of Eugenio Suarez. So those were big moves for the club to make.
How was that? How announcing Eugenio Suarez, especially on the night that he returned?
That was great. I couldn't wait to do that because it was always great to introduce him when he was here the first time around. Everybody loved him. The team loved him. The fans loved him. The clubhouse, he was great in the clubhouse. And I know that he liked it here, and he was very happy to come back here. But it was a great thrill to introduce him. And then Josh Naylor was great to introduce as well because the fans didn't know him as well. But if you're a follower of baseball, you knew that he brought a lot to the party. So it's great to see what he's been able to do.
When we've been talking up and down, you guys needing an impact bat, it was sitting here this whole time. Somebody had to say, "Hey, Cal, here's a torpedo bat. Welcome." This is the truth. If Judge used a torpedo bat, they would bring it up on every, they would never, anything that happened when the Yankees do something, everybody's allowed to do this shit. We put torpedo bats on the map in game 2 of the season, and it was the talk of baseball for a month.
Should it be legal? No. Is it cheating? Yeah, it is.
Now, Raleigh hit 60 home runs with one, and nobody even mentions it.
Well, only for the left side.
Judge used the torpedo bat. They would be using every undercutting way they could. All these turncoats on MLB, DeRosa, who I love, all these guys, it would be worked into their argument.
Maybe, but also you have the choice. Julio tried it out and was like, that's not for me. Some people have these different handles, but I guess the argument you're making is if he did anything different like that, they would be all over it. You feel like it's just went underneath the rug with Cal Raleigh. We've ignored the fact that he's using a torpedo bat.
Rye Bread and Mustard, a Mariners podcast.
We have the one and only Mr. Tom Hutler. Do you have any of your favorite stories from the Kingdom?
There was a time we had an earthquake, and so they were going to evacuate the building. So I was like getting up to go leave. They go, "No, you can't go. You got to read these safety things." It's like,
do we need to tell them that there's smoking's only on the exterior ramp?
Yeah. And Dave came shooting past. He signed off. I'm going, wait, I'm the only one here.
Listen and subscribe to Rye Bread and Mustard, a Mariners podcast, wherever you get your podcasts.
What up? This is Myron, and you are listening or watching the Rye Bread and Mustard, a Mariners podcast at Down on the Docks on the other side of the tracks. 5-star dive bar Mariners podcast. Hey, if you said we were at the beginning of the year, we were going to have a Game 7 matchup. I'm going to start this off positive, Hannah, while you unmute your mic there. If you said that there was a 1-game chance in February or whenever we started this show again to get into the World Series, we'd take it. You know, the journey and the battle to get there and the ups and downs, especially for a fan, is very tough. But again, I want to kind of tonight keep it positive that we do have another game to play here and a chance to go to the World Series, start over with a new set of losses that you can have in your barrel right there. And as far as Game 6, it was a tough one to watch. And I'm just waiting on your mic there. It still says it's
I know I have it off so you can.
Oh, you're being courteous. Thank you. Sorry. I thought I had you muted. It's all right. Don't be mad at me, Chris. Go ahead. It was a mistake, just like the Mariners made 3 of them.
Don't finish your thought.
No, it's
I
fine.
heard
Just
you
go.
first.
Let's go. It's good. That was the end of it. Yeah, we're here Game 7 tomorrow, today, whenever you're getting this. And let's just get into the episode. Where should we start?
Yeah, they didn't come out and look very focused, that's for sure. 3 errors and 2 base running errors. Just something we haven't seen from this team, and they're not a good enough team to overcome that. You know, the way that first error happened with Julio, that one hopper in the outfield, pretty normal play, but it went off the palm of his glove and popped out. I know John Smoltz said it would have been a double no matter what. I totally don't feel like that. So that was just, to me, that's just lack of focus right there. Eugenio's, a couple innings later, thinks he has the ball in his glove, tries to look the runner back, and it's not there. Just not a good start. But then, just to compound it, the base running. JP, on that ball off the wall, it needs to be farther along, needs to be at least at second. That's just poor base running. And the Rivas thing really got me. The back pick to first, sure, he was safe, but what is the purpose of the first base coach there? He can see Vladdy sneaking in behind him. It could be loud. Rivas got picked off the last game. And you got to be watching your guy. So I'm frustrated with Young, but, I felt like through all that, the Mariners still had their chances. It just wasn't their night tonight. 3 double plays in a row, two with the bases loaded. Cal having one of his worst games of the season. 3 strikeouts, hits into a double play, throws it in the left field. I mean, it happens. But with this team, I've always felt this way. They always never make anything easy and wait until the very last second. They did that trying to clinch. They did that in the first or second round versus Detroit. They lost the first game at home. And then ended up going five games and won it there. They get off to a hot start here, and you get all the stats. No team's ever lost after leading 2-0 on the road. But first thing that pops into my head is, well, if there's a will, there's a way with the Mariners. So we're here. But like you started off the first part of the podcast saying, if you would sign up for a Game 7 with the Mariners, you'd take it. So those are just kind of the things that it just wasn't right for the Mariners today. I mean, we'll get in more to the pitching. I got a lot to say about that. You got to stay out of the middle of the plate, especially from the starters. They haven't been out of the middle of the plate the whole series. So hoping Kirby can get in doing Kirby things and, be hitting the black, staying out of the middle. But all the starters pretty much have been in and out of the middle of the plate other than Bryce Miller. So just ready to get this game going.
Yeah, you want to flush it. We got to talk about it. We host a podcast. We didn't do podcast when we lost 2 games earlier on in this series. And that was not because we didn't want to talk Mariners baseball. It had to do with the schedule of back-to-back-to-back games. And we weren't going to hype it, especially when they lost Game 3. Game 4, that was a scheduling thing. Game 6, no, we're going to talk about it. And yes, going into Game 7, if you asked every single team in baseball if they would sign up for a Game 7, they get into the World Series, they're all going to take it. It doesn't really matter what the journey is there as long as you can take care of it. And look, all of the baseball world and sporting world, unless you just absolutely do not like baseball, will be watching tomorrow. And I'm just hoping, before we get into this game, they come out aggressive, but also not pressing. And I'm going to segue back into today's game. The word I would use is pressing. Like you said, lack of focus, or it's pressing. It's all of these guys, not all these guys, but a good portion of these guys haven't played in the World Series on this team. And then there's a group that has. You look at stars like Eugenio Suarez. He's never been to the World Series. Obviously, Julio, JP. You do have Randy Arozarena that was there during the COVID World Series. Josh Naylor's not been to the World Series. None of our pitchers have been to the World Series. There is experience on this team, but a lot of the leaders, including Cal, none of them have been there. And tonight it seemed like there was a lot of trying to do a little bit too much / lack of focus / pressing. The Mariners played one of their worst games that they've played in a long time as far as defensively. This game actually could have went an even, or I should say this game could have been even more out of hand as well with the way that they did have errors. Of course, Logan, again, didn't have his good stuff, and we'll get into the pitching here. But he also had an inning where he had to get 5 outs because of the errors. And you're right, that ball out to Julio that they were saying it was going to be a double, I did not think so. In fact, I thought Julio did a great job on going over and cutting that off. And when it bounced off his glove, I was like, that sucks for multiple reasons. But I thought he did a good job to go over there. And that's also why I believe that was the same inning where, yes, and then Eugenio had to look over at second base. He got ahead of himself trying to watch that runner over there. The ball bounced off the heel of his glove. And when he looked up to over to second base, as they were pointing out, he thought that ball was in his glove, and it wasn't. It was on the ground. He doesn't have enough time to get that throw over there. I thought it was a good throw over there to first. And then you have him have a tough ball hit at him. The little bouncer he can't handle. That was a hard play. And then you had the line drive hit to him that he turns around and has a good play. And look, Eugenio Suarez, while I'm talking about him, he did get you an RBI tonight. He had some tough at-bats as well. The entire team did. Josh Naylor seemed to have a decent game, especially in the field. I thought he did a really good job over at first base. I'm trying to find some positives here. Yeah, I think maybe that's about as far as the highlights. I thought Bizardo was great. I was wanting him to maybe stay in there longer, but now that, we're in this situation, I'm glad that he only pitched 2 innings because he was obviously going to be available tomorrow, but the wear and tear on him for a couple innings, he'll easily bounce back and be available at least for a good inning tomorrow.
Yeah. You mentioned Eugenio, that ball that was just absolutely tattooed by Vlad. Where he dove for it and was able to come up, stop the bleeding, throw to the first for the force. Yeah, that was huge. He atoned for, the error earlier. Once you have an error, you got to flush it. And he's done an excellent job of that. The way the hitters went tonight, too much swing and miss still, and that was a problem. From what I've seen out of the guy that bugs me the most is Canzone. I just feel like he gets behind. He had a C9 single, but then when he gets 2 strikes, he's just swinging all arms out in front on an outside pitch, and he's got no shot. It's bothersome.
I'm going to stop you right there because I want to jump on Canzone and then we'll move on. I don't want to have to come back to him. I'm with you. We've talked about this in great length, even in our personal lives. I just don't understand the commitment to Dom Canzone. I don't know what's going on with everybody else. I mean, when I say everybody else, Victor Robles, I guess, a right-hander now. He can't hit. Is he nursing an injury? We didn't really see a base running situation for him to come in on. But Dom Canzone, I don't even need to look it up because I've been watching it. He's 3 for 27. So 27 outs, let's just say in a game. He's gotten out. He's gave you 8 innings of an out, almost an entire game of just outs. And I would even go as far as saying non-competitive at bats. Again, that's that's what I would label what you and I are talking about in these at bats. And we've talked about our Game 7 lineups just hypothetically when we had everybody back healthy. And Dom Canzone for a while was my DH there. I don't think so. I think we've seen enough right now. If they move on, or maybe there's a pinch hit into, I don't know why you'd pinch hit him, but I don't know. I'm very low on Dom Canzone right now. It's not to be negative. I'm just talking about like going into tomorrow. Your patience can't be there as far as with Dom Canzone. I just don't understand what's going on there.
No, I agree with you. You have to put out your 9 best guys. You don't have another day to live after tomorrow if you don't win. Best guys up, best guys that are going good, best guys that are seeing the ball the best, best matchups. Sure, they're going to go with the numbers and all that. It just feels like after mentioning all of those things that Dom Canzone just doesn't fit in that category. But yeah, for tomorrow, we need our starters to be much better, at least more competitive. And if not, we need to keep the game close. I mean, I've hammered this down to you the whole series, Myron. Keep the game close and get to their bullpen. Sure, it might be a little different tomorrow with them having some starters going out of the bullpen. Scherzer, Gosman could be available. But you're seeing Bieber tomorrow. You saw what he did 5-6 days ago. He spun you to death. Coming back off the Tommy John surgery, you got to focus in and wait for your pitch, and make sure it's a strike. I just feel like that's the best way to go against these guys. And hopefully, I mean, they didn't have good outings coming into this. Neither did Scherzer. You need to hammer these guys when they do give you something in the zone. And on our side, we just got to get a little bit more out of our starters, and I feel good about our pen. I was a little concerned about seeing the way Brash finished up his inning today. He looks a little tired. They mentioned that on the broadcast, but all of our guys look either tired or not sharp. None of their breaking stuff bites like it has. They've been going a lot, and so have the relievers. So hopefully they can dial that in, and but it's a game 7. Anything could happen. It could be a wild one with a lot of runs scored. It's hard to say, but
if the Mariners are involved,
for sure.
If the Mariners are involved, you can bet your bottom dollar it's going to be a wild one. Look at game 5. If you think your ticker was going out on that game, I mean, game 7, we've never seen a game 7 as a Seattle fan in baseball. We've not seen a game 7. So this is something new. We seem to be constantly making history, stressful history sometimes. But yeah, Matt Brash, I'm hoping he can just toss that to the side. It seems like the last couple of times we haven't seen the best of Brash. And you're mentioning they're saying that possibly he's tired. I believe it. The good thing, like you said, we got our bullpen, our back end guys. Especially Munoz, Spire, they're well rested. They're ready to go. This might be even a game, like if it is close and we play into extra innings, or maybe not even extra innings, this would be a chance, I think, that maybe you might see Andres Munoz pitch you 5-6 outs.
Absolutely.
I mean, you look at that lineup over there. And I will say something. If you can get past the Toronto Blue Jays, the way they've hit the ball and just Vladdy Guerrero, you just can't get this guy out. If you can get through game 7, you're going to be well prepared to play a team like the Dodgers, because this is what the Dodgers are going to do with their offense. So it's not like it wouldn't be a big shock or a slap in the face, deer caught in the headlights when you play the Dodgers with a crowd on top of you with 4 or 5 guys that just do not get out. Well, if you survive that, you can be like, I think this would be such a sharpening tool to playing the Dodgers.
Yeah, Toronto is a great team that hits very well and makes a lot of contact. We've seen that, but we've made it so much easier on them by location of where our pitches have been. Sometimes we're away right on the black. That's good, but it's middle up. We're not hitting the corners. Everything that's missed and crushed is a pitch down the middle, just not on the edge. And that's got to change to give our starter a chance. They are able to recognize our pitches, it feels like, not because our pitches suck, just because they're just not as sharp, especially our secondary pitches. A lot of hangers we've seen, and they don't miss them. And just something, like I said, the game has got to be close, and we can't let them get out ahead and get that crowd going into it. And, us hopefully not putting more pressure on ourselves. I felt good going into this game when Yasevich went out and their bullpen came in. I just feel like it stinks, and we've had really good success at it. And you can see every time their bullpen comes in, they, start throwing balls, and then we get the count in our advantage, and we see how much of a better hitting team we become, more patient, see our pitch, and then execute. So it's going to need to be more of that tomorrow, and especially clean baseball. You cannot give a team like this or any team and expect to win extra outs.
You say clean baseball. I agree with you. Let me just hammer that down. To me, that leans on your best defensive 9 out there, 8 out there, 7 behind the pitcher. You got to see that tomorrow, especially coming off a game like today. Sure, these are your guys that made the errors, but you would just hate to. Again, going back to the Dom Canzone thing, I hate to pound down on him, but now we're on the defensive side. I would like to see Victor Robles out there. He's got a better throwing arm. He's got more range. You know, that foul ball that Dom Canzone didn't catch, which I was okay with. That's one that Victor Robles would have caught, but also maybe Victor Robles might have ran into the wall and been carted back off on a cart again. But as far as there's just a couple singles where there really wasn't a play at the plate. But gosh, by the time Dom Canzone gets the ball, there is absolutely no play. And I get it. He's being cautious and clean and not making a mistake and letting the ball get behind him. I understand that. But as far as second base, I'm totally fine with Leo Rivas out there at second base if you're going to DH Polo. You're going to have Bieber on the mound tomorrow starting against Kirby. Bieber threw pretty good against the Mariners. This is another guy who has a story behind him, just like the guy tonight, Savage, who I just felt like, man, we'd let him off the hook a lot. You saw what they did in the first game that they played against him. I thought there was some good contact in the first inning here too, even though Cal did strike out. He had a hard foul ball. Julio just missed one, and I think Polo had I felt like they got decent contact, and you did see him. Let's give them credit. They got the ground ball they needed in 3 innings in a row, which is some other fucking history note that they're like, this hasn't happened since the 1770s or something like that, where there was 3 were they all bases loaded? I think it was first and second.
2 of the 3 innings they were loaded, yeah.
So that's a lot of base runners, and the people that they got to double them up. Cal hits the ball. Well, you said we were talking about that. They weren't particularly hard. In fact, maybe if they were even slower, maybe you'd be okay. Cal's, I think, was the one that, because I think it was early on in the count when he hit that ball. The one with JP, and I've mentioned this before, and we've talked about it. The umpiring, especially behind the plate in this series, is so lackluster compared to what we saw in Detroit. And we talked about it. If we're not talking about it and we don't notice that it's there, then they're doing their job. You've noticed this. And I thought on the JP one, he had a tough 0-2 count. I haven't looked at the chart, but they did not look good to me. He looked frustrated about both. Had to swing there. And then the third one was just, that's when I was starting to really just think about baseball and the way it's constructed and our imaginary baseball gods, who I think are real, by the way. When you do things like that, they make you pay. But then again, I kind of stayed optimistic because I was like, hey, we don't manufacture runs. That's not how we score them. It is what it is, but we sit around and wait for the big home runs. It's gotten us this far in the playoffs. And so I was kind of waiting around for that, but you never could get the bases loaded or put the pressure on. You only had just very small chances midway through this game where you had the tying run at the plate.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, no doubt we did have our chances, though, but the double play totally just ruined all of that this game. But it's nice to see some traffic on. Like I mentioned earlier, Cal probably played one of his worst games. I don't see him backing that up with another one tomorrow. So got to feel good about that. Josh Naylor has been absolutely incredible in this series.
Absolutely.
Just hitting so well, not letting anything affect him. Not trying to hit the home run. Before his home run earlier in this game, he got up and laced a nice base hit into the left center field gap, not trying to do too much. I mean, he's just doing it all. And we need to get some runners on base for him to do that so we can score. It's been just too hit and miss here lately, and that's just a guy I just feels so good up when he's up at the plate to come through. So just got to get
Same
some
thing,
on
you gotta
base
get
runners
runners
instead
on.
of the double play.
Sorry, my thing was delayed there for a sec. Yeah, you got to get like, yes, there's just been, well, there was traffic tonight, but we'll give them that. But throughout the series, you know, you look at the stats when they come up to the plate and you see Cal Raleigh, 3 home runs, 3 RBIs. He's had a lot of singles. He's had some doubles. He's been on base. That just means nobody's ever in front of him. The leadoff spot has been kind of, I shouldn't say kind of, it's really been a dark hole there.
Yeah, it sure has. I mean, if you look at the way this series has gone in the games we've won, they've all been tight, and I expect them to be tight tomorrow, other than game 2, when you did something incredible. You hit 2 3-run homers and a 2-run homer in the same game. That's just, you just don't see that much, you know what I mean? Especially from this club, but and then game 5 you got the grand slam. You're gonna need to out homer them. It seems like they're gonna get theirs, especially Guerrero, but which we've done a really good job with, of matching their home runs, but they're having guys on base and they're continuing to pound the ball and getting runners on and runners in, something we haven't been like doing as much, obviously.
No, I'm going to pull this up, and this makes you go, oof. And it makes you go, okay. If you had just looked at these numbers like the Baseball Nerd podcasts like to do constantly and too much. I'm actually going to get to some comments. When we started this podcast, it was very like, this is not fun. Let's get this over with. But who knows how many of these we have left for this season. But you look at these numbers and you go, wow, look at the OPS on their side. 864, 824, 1.532. If you're listening, you want to guess whose that is? Kirk, just under 800. Sorry, it wasn't Kirk. 787, 1.121, 892. We got a 714 down there. But, you look over at the Mariners side, 186 average. Let's just talk averages. 186, 302, 205, 341, 182, 209, 189, 111, 154. A lot of ones. There's more ones than anything. And as far as OPS, the only person, and Polanco's has even dropped, the only person over 8, 2 people, and you know who they are. Josh Naylor, 974, hitting 341 in the postseason. You take away the couple of games he was waiting for his wife to give birth, which he didn't look himself, understandably, and you're still looking at him at 341, 974. You're right. You got to get people on base in front of him. You got to get him up there. It seems like he's always up there with 2 outs or he's the leadoff guy. Just the way it happens to be. Maybe a stat nerd can debunk that, but that's what it feels like. But if you just look at these numbers and you look over at what these guys have done on the other side, I mean, they've out-hit you outside of that 10-run game. Even in the game that they won just the other day, our miraculous game 5, which I hope is not our World Series moment. Toronto was hitting the ball way better. The Mariners just cashed in on the big grand slam and the solo shot there and got the 5-run in the 8th inning. That's why the place was so goddamn loud. It created a small earthquake. Nobody expected it.
Yeah, we got the double play to squash their run like they did more than once today against us. So, I mean, those are huge momentum plays in the game that just, just bug you as a hitter.
It was a 180. It was like they switched roles this game.
Yeah.
Even look at the score.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, yeah. And what did they do? They wiggled out of situations like the Mariners wiggled out in game 5. But look, you got two fucking heavyweights going at it. This is your number 1 seed team, the best team in the American League in the regular season, and your second best team. And each team has looked like, wow, this is the team to beat in this series. They both lost 2 home games at home. They both won 1 home game at home. And now it's just a toss-up for this 7th game. And
Yeah,
we're going to move on. Do you have any more to say about this episode before we move on to game 7?
Yeah, I was just going to say, we've had, you mentioned the home and road wins and losses for each of these teams. I mean, we came into this game today winners of 4 straight in the playoffs against them. So you would think the law of averages would change, and obviously they did today, but it's a toss-up tomorrow. It's just who's going to execute, excuse me, and who's going to be able to get that clutch big hit and who can throw strikes. I mean, big Ron Fairley moment there, me saying that, Iron, but it really will come down to it.
Let me give you a John Madden one. Whoever scores more runs tomorrow will win.
Yeah, exactly.
Or a Ron Fairley. And that's fine. We'll make this real simple. If I'm wrong, if the Mariners can score less runs than Toronto and make it to the World Series, then I guess I don't know what I'm talking about. Okay. Or maybe I do not know what I'm talking about. And now it's just to another level. Okay. It'd be I'd have a doctrine in not knowing what I'm talking about. I said, hey, we're not going to have some comments. Let's take a couple of these because they're pertaining to stuff in the past, meaning today. Okay. Number 1, Seth. Kind of wish they lost the series 4-1. So I could just be happy that they made it to the ALCS rather than disappointed that they squandered a big opportunity. All right, let's talk this Seth, who's I think that's the same Seth that always comes on here. Let's talk him back from the ledge, Hanno.
Yeah. You start first. Let me think about this for a second.
Okay, Seth. I don't think I would be happy about us just getting it shoved to us in the ALCS. In fact, let's just say worst case scenario, they were just 1 game away. It just heightens the journey that the Seattle Mariners organization would be on. And I would just go, all right, we were 1 game closer going into the 50th season of the Seattle Mariners. That's the storyline. And maybe you would look at this Toronto series and go, you know what? Maybe and I don't want to get into this right now, but I'm just saying, maybe you could go, okay, we were this close. What do we need? The team is in a better place as far as personnel. And maybe there's a philosophy change. We saw philosophy change at the trade deadline. Maybe you see that differently, but no, it's not over. You want to know why, Seth, you wouldn't be happier than they lost the series 4-1? Because they're going to win tomorrow in game 7. How about that? Okay. Next person. You got anything to add to that?
No, that was excellent.
Of course it was. Fallen Fire. They should lock Dom Canzone in his hotel.
Not a bad idea. I guess he should at least come to the game.
No, I don't think you have to lock him in the hotel. You have to lock whoever puts him in the lineup in the hotel. Maybe it's Dan Wilson. I don't know. We don't really know. We won't really know how they're making all these lineups until they have the debriefing at the end of the year. And then you find out, oh, yeah, we were using the computer again, Jerry's computer. Hopefully it works. We got another one here. AG1. I feel like we're getting out coached, not on the field, we're getting out coached, not on field decisions, but game prep. And the Jays seem like they go into each game with a better plan to attack our hitters and how to attack our pitching. I do feel like the Blue Jays have kind of had the if this was a boxing match or a wrestling match or something like that, we've definitely, even though we had since the 2-game lead, I feel like Toronto has had more of the control. If this is a basketball game or a football game, they've had the time of possession. I feel like, for sure. I think that's fair. But we've had just as many explosive moments. It's kind of hard to rack my brain back to really go into games 1 and 2. 1 was a close game. 2 was a game that we just played Cape away and put 10 on the board. But definitely in the last week, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Yeah, the Mariners in control moments have been limited to, I think, 3 innings. Just going off of my brain. You'd have the bottom of the 8th and the 9th. You had 1 inning, and I think in each game, maybe that you had a lead for half an inning or 1 inning. And that was about it. Maybe 2 innings. So I bet you it's under 5 innings in the last 4 games that we've been in control of the game.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of follow along with him too. And I mean, it seems like they have listened to the scouting report and followed along what the scouting report is going to be and had answers for it for sure. It does seem that way. As far as the Mariners, I think the Mariners follow the scouting report. They just haven't executed as well either. I mean, you're still seeing, they know the splitter's coming. I get it. It's hard to hit, but you got to dial it in, and they just weren't able to hit that. Every pitch, John Smoltz said it on the broadcast, every single pitch was a first pitch fastball followed up by the splitter. I mean, it was, there should be somebody in the dugout explaining that to these guys or charting it or something. I don't know, but those kind of adjustments haven't been made by the Mariners.
No. Again, game 7, we're going to get into that right now. We're going to take a quick little palate cleansing break, and let's come back and let's talk about game 7, how we're feeling, what we think we're going to see, everything that you could think of and I can think of about game 7 coming up right after this.
And I think the fans that were booing him should take a look in the mirror and understand what kind of player he is. Because when a guy gets hit in the knee and is in obvious pain and you have 40,000 people cheering, not the right thing to do.
Go fuck your mother.
If you watch the game, you might have caught this. Gino is rounding the bases, does all his stuff that he does. A massive hit, rounding third, coming home. And who is on deck? Jorge Polanco. You're expecting to get some dap. You got some from Cal. And coming out of the dugout, you see Josh Naylor. Did he get Eugenio any dap? Absolutely not. He was up early just before him. He goes to the on-deck batter, Jorge Polanco, and talks to him about what he's seeing from that pitcher. It got me so jacked up, even though it was a big-time home run from Eugenio. Just to see that I don't care that you just hit that home run. To see that you went to the on-deck batter to talk strategy about what you're seeing. You're a fellow left-handed hitter.
Yeah.
Blanco was just totally involved what Naylor was saying. It's something I noticed, and it absolutely got me pumped.
I just try to play baseball. I just like to wake up, come to the field, work hard, win the game, go home, repeat.
The moment where that band starts to play the warm-up music, not the theme music, the music that y'all don't hear, when the energy picks up, when the audience is there, when the audience is getting loaded in and the band is playing, when all that stuff happens, it gives you a jolt of energy every week. And you're just like, man, I got to do this. I get to do this. Getting the first sketch on was like getting a single, maybe like a RBI. Getting called to Lauren's office in between dress and air and looking at the board and seeing that your sketch moved up from the 12:50 slot to the first act, that's when it's like, oh, we did something cool. That feels like a home run. That felt like a home run. That was Timothy Chalamet.
The game where you're like, okay, you got a couple of knocks. You got some home runs, maybe hit a grand slam. Probably the Dave Chappelle show.
Yeah. So the Dave episode was my like, oh, he's a player, and we can like, The Dave episode I could get talked about on on the local ESPN affiliate the next day. Like that's what that felt like. It's like this guy might actually be adding some value to this.
You asked for the ball, right? If you're a player, give me that ball. I'm taking that home. Do you have the paper copy of that? Did you take something?
I do. I do have that. I got the cue cards from some of the jokes that I have in the sketch.
Oh wow. Oh, right there when we started that break, the very first video we had, or break video, was of the John Schneider little poke that we took, because we didn't get to really jump into that last episode, but I want to jump into it right now before we move on. And it kind of was something that was around and you're reading about it over the weekend. And that's, of course, his comments about the Mariners fans at T-Mobile Park in Game 5 being rude and not being good fans by cheering when Springer got hit. And I just want to say, as somebody that was in the crowd that day, that is a complete fabrication of what happened. I think this manager, just going on his track record of shit that he says and the way he kind of handles losing through whether it's press conferences or news reporters, he's what you'd call a little bitch. And at that game, I just want to say this before we go on. Sure, when Springer got hit, there was a huge noise. Was there boos? Was there cheers? There was everything. As I mentioned, after that game, I went to Game 3. Very strong Mariners crowd in there that saw a bad game. By the time Game 5 came around, the Mariners fans were selling their tickets. There was a lot of Toronto Blue Jays in there. So I think a lot of the booing he was possibly hearing was booing from Toronto from their player getting hit. There's also a big moan and a grumble about us putting another guy on base, considering we pretty much this entire series, it feels like since, Game 3 on, we've given them a ghost runner on second base. And I also want to say, yes, there was some yelling and screaming and booing. And I think that was more pertaining to, it felt like it took forever for them to take Springer out. First, he laid on the ground in pain. Then he got up. Then he doubled back down. Then he kind of made his way halfway up the first baseline, kind of stopped and doubled down. Made it about 80% to first base, I think. Stopped and doubled down, get to first base. And then they walk him all the way back to the fucking third base dugout. And I think if there's any boos that were happening, it was because of that. And because, just like I mentioned, there's probably, I would say 15,000, maybe 18,000 Blue Jays fans. At that point, Blue Jays fans and Mariners fans were doing their chants. Let's go Blue Jays. Let's go Mariners. And people were pissed off that John Schneider was taking his fucking time to get Springer back to the dugout. And then maybe, sure, there was some people that booed Springer, or like they do every single at bat, because he's one of the cheating Astros and he gets that treatment at every single ballpark, probably except for Houston and currently Toronto. So I think that whole thing of the Mariners being classless and have to go and look ourselves in the mirror, he's the motherfucker that's got to go look himself in the mirror after saying that. He should go watch what he said and look himself in the mirror. I don't know. He's a moron. That's all I got to say on it. If you like that video, it's doing pretty good on Instagram. People seem to really enjoy it. What's your final thoughts on that?
Yeah, I don't have too much to add. If anything, I think you did a good roundabout way of explaining every kind of scenario. I mean, it's sports. Teams boo other teams in home and road ballparks. So whatever,
Yeah, I just kind of thought that was a pretty. It was just, I don't even know why he had to bring that up. They asked him about his knee and if he was going to play in the 7th game, and he made it more about the Mariners booing than what the question that was asked of him. So that was his way to deflect.
The last thing I'll say, I don't know if it's been brought up or if it's even a thing, but that pitch was not on purpose whatsoever. It was from Brian
No.
Wu, who hadn't pitched in a while. But you've seen it with a lot of our pitchers. That two-seam running fastball on arm side really has a lot of movement, and it ran inside on him. It happened. So these players are so geared up with all their freaking protective things and everything. So if this was back in the day, they would be shocked to see how many guys threw in really on people without that protection. So whatever.
My grandfather, who played in the right here, looking over my shoulder, his career ended from getting hit by a ball at the plate, shattered his elbow and his forearm. Because I don't even think they wore skin back then on their bones. You know what I mean? So we do have some fun comments, and we'll get to this because this is what we like to do on the show. We need to take a breath. Okay, enjoy the show. We do have some comments. This one comes in from Ma Baker, and this pertains to. I just got this, so she's probably listening. What's up, Ma? This got sent to my phone. She says, "OMG, did you see Springer tonight? Question mark. Every time he took a swing, he'd fall to his goddamn knee. So dramatic and trying to be the freaking hero and get on the highlight reel. What a fucking cheater and a douchebag and a drama queen. I hate him. Game 7, baby."
Totally agree. I did see that he was going to one knee quite a bit.
Yeah, too bad for Springer. But we did have a couple of these comments on here that for this I just wanted to read because they're pretty good. I'll actually pull them up on the screen too so you can see them. But the very first one, if you go to our Instagram, you want to read along. This is our John Schneider / Goodfellas mashup. I don't want to spoil it. Go check it out. But basically, the whole reason of this is if he wants to get chippy with the fans, we're going to get chippy back. Lindy Larson, Lindy Jr., hell of a lefty hitter. Never mind, he was an Astro. There was a countless Blue Jays fans booing. This guy's a bum. Agreed. Ma Baker also on here. Man, this is a hot pressing issue for her. Oh my fucking God, give me a break. What do you say? Oh my God, sorry. Give me a fucking break. Springer is an effing cheater. We hate him, so we can freaking boo. Let's see here. Blue Jays fans were booing from Pat with Pack. We also had, was it Spelka? Said that just didn't happen. He was booed every at bat for cheating scandal with the Astros. The fans did not, capital NOT, did not cheer when he was hit. Let's see. C phrase 912 doesn't admit that Springer was part of the asterisk Houston team. He's always booed in Seattle regardless. Fans never booed an injury. Maker's Mark 2, newsflash, Jays fans were booing. Half of the crowd was in town from Vancouver. Get a grip, Schneider. Yeah. So there you have it. Again, you want the truth, you come to this podcast. There's the truth. And getting back to John Schneider and the Blue Jays, boy, I would just love, just for the cherry on top of all of this, for John Schneider to be outmanaged by Dan Wilson in Game 7. They started to talk about, John Schneider's going to have all these choices. Well, so is Dan Wilson. And I actually like Dan Wilson's and the Seattle Mariners, what we got as far as what should be going up on the hill tomorrow and from what you can pull out in the pen versus what the Blue Jays have. I really do feel like we have the advantage there. As far as the hitting in the lineup, yeah, you still got to give the edge to Toronto just because they don't have the swing and miss there. I mean, we're used to seeing Mariner pitchers just mow down and get 15, 16 guys in a row, not all striking out, but tons of swinging and missing. And you're just not seeing that at all You haven't seen that since we played Detroit.
Yeah, you're exactly right. But I am in the same corner as you. I believe that we do have the advantage, and I feel really good about tomorrow. Obviously, it'd be massive for us to get an early lead, which we have in previous games, but then we haven't been able to shut the door the following next inning or even for a few innings to keep the momentum on our side. But if it's a close game, I definitely give us an advantage.
I'm with you. I want to bring something up today that I saw in the game. And I think it was the right move by Schneider or Dickhead or whatever you want to call him. I did think it was the right move for him to keep in Hoffman for a couple innings. They wanted to hammer down this, 6-2 4-run lead game to get to game 7. They had to do that. But I do like the fact that he threw 2 innings today, and that's supposed to be your closer. And that's a guy that I bet you'll see tomorrow. And as they were saying, has a little bit of trouble with the long ball.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. Get a good look on him, know what he brings. They didn't go with him in game 5, like they mentioned, and Mariners and Cal Raleigh and Eugenio made him pay. He didn't look like he had any great stuff this game, but he pitched fine and got batters out. But I agree with you. It's good to see him if we're going to 2 days in a row, and I feel like that's an advantage to us.
Sam Oros says GSG. Is that some cool new slang that I don't know about? Some Gen Z shit. Mariners fans from a Jays fan. What a series. Wow. Yeah. If you're Major League Baseball or baseball fan after having watched what the Dodgers did to the Brewers, and you don't really have any sort of allegiance to either of these teams, you got to be really enjoying this. This is usually us going, oh, wow, there's a game 7. Kick back, relax, and watch. You got Monday Night Football, and you got a game 7 on. Well, for Seattleites or Seattle transplants, as I am down here in LA, the Seahawks game tomorrow is going to be one of those games that I'm going to have to figure out what happened sometime this week, even though maybe I will watch it physically. But I'm either going to be so distraught that the Mariners' quest to get the World Series has ended, or we're going to be doing a podcast and we're going to be celebrating and taking phone calls and calling people and may or may not be crying. And one of the two of us may not be blackout drunk by the time we do a show or a Seahawks game. How do you even pay attention to that shit? And for the people that are actually going to the Seahawks game that are Mariners fans that are going to be watching on their phones or whatever, I don't know how you do it. I wish I had. That's why I wish I was living in that mindset. That's just not going to happen for me.
Yeah, I don't know how you do it either. Sam came back and said GS or GGS means good games.
Oh, I like it. GGS means good games. All right, I like that.
Yeah, but I'm with you.
Yeah.
If I had season tickets for the Seahawks, I don't know if I could go.
No, we got to find out what our Gare Bear's doing. We got to see what Gary, not Randy, is doing. Well, hopefully he's down there checking on Alcs over at Alcs Sausages, making sure our signs are up over there. But also, if you're looking for a dog on Occidental, you want to hit up Al's Gourmet Sausage, not just regular sausages handled. They're gourmet. And usually after the games, I know this for Mariners games, probably same for Seahawks, 2 for 1 hot dogs after the game. Can't beat that. Also, if you are looking for your pre and post destination to hit up, definitely tacos and tequila. We always have a good time. I've felt so strange today being here and watching the game like this in my house, isolated after being in literally the eye of the storm at Edgar's Cantina for game 5 and being basically down at tacos and tequila for 7 or 8 days in the last 2 weeks. To sit here on my couch and for this to happen, I'm kind of happy. I'm not happy. I'm thankful I was here during this, and I'm not signing out on like a big restaurant bill after watching that or having paid $200 to go into a game and watch something like this. So I'll take it.
Yeah, I bet you are. It's nice to be able to just sit in your own place, though, and watch it. But yeah, not the game you expected or wanted to see, that's for sure.
And frankly, I don't really have a choice. I even put on the message boards because, we're always out there trying to push the pod or hang around. Or I was like, maybe we'll get some footage of a Southern California Mariners bar. Nobody can give me an answer if there is one that anybody hangs out. So if you listen to this pod and that'd be great. I know there's plenty of Seahawk bars here in Southern California, but there isn't. It doesn't seem to be a Seattle Mariners. There's no thing for that down here. But anyways, Game 7, Hanno, like you said earlier, and like they're saying here on the Fox show, and everybody's saying we could probably open up the Seattle Times and read the columns. We could go to Twitter. We could go to Instagram, Facebook, I'm sure, wherever there's opinions. Everybody's saying, got to be a clean game tomorrow. Got to get runners on base. Got to cash in. You just have to play winning baseball. And if you've gotten this far, you know what winning baseball is. You're very capable of it. And I do believe in the good hitting is contagious, good pitching is contagious, and getting out to, if not a lead, at least being competitive at bat, keeping the pressure on Toronto early on, taking that crowd out of it. That's going to be the key tomorrow. I have all the faith in the back end tomorrow. I also like the fact that the Mariners, they're going with Kirby, but you do have Castillo and you do have Wu, who looked pretty good. And I'm assuming he's going to look even better the next time he comes out. You do have Spire, you do have Munoz, and probably Bizardo. So if you needed to, you could pitch all these guys 1 or 2 innings all the way through if you had to do that.
Yeah, it's really going to be interesting to see how the game develops and which manager has the hook quicker or makes the decision, and hopefully it's our team that capitalizes it. That's what we can ask for.
So Sam Oros is a Blue Jays fan because he said our rookie did great tonight. Should I ban this guy?
No.
No. Thanks for checking in, Sam. And not taking it out on us too much with our thoughts about John Schneider. Look, if the Mariners close this out tomorrow on your field, I'm sure you'll be kind of feeling more like how we do about John Schneider there, Sam. As far as the offense, like we were talking about this, you need a big game from Julio tomorrow. A signature game from Julio would be great, especially out of that leadoff spot. You'd assume, let's just go through our Game 7 lineup. It's a right-hander on the mound. You assume you're going to see Julio staying there at the 1 slot, Cal at the 2, Polo at 3, Naylor at 4, Randy Rosarena. Maybe he gets it going. We have not seen playoff Randy yet, though there is a stat. I think 6 out of the 8 times he actually has gotten on base, or 6 out of 8, or 7 out of 8, 7 out of 9. Look, 2 of the times he's gotten on base, he hasn't scored. You do the math. We need playoff Randy. I'd love to see a playoff Randy. You need to see a playoff Randy as far as what's going on at the plate. Then at 7, JP Crawford. 8, you got to go with Victor Robles tomorrow in a Game 7. I just please Victor Robles, Game 7. And then I would have Louis Rivas out at second base.
Yeah, I'm with you. I've seen enough of Canzone. Sure, he could get into one, but he doesn't look close. And if you lose or have a blunder in the outfield and it's a mistake by him, how could you live with yourself? I know I might just bash my head through a wall if that was the case. I just don't want to see it and don't even want it to be a factor.
Yeah, I don't want you coming on here with any head wounds tomorrow to start the episode off. But yeah, with that lineup being said that we just talked about, you really wouldn't have too many pinch hit spots right there. That's the only thing. You didn't see it tonight either, because what are you going to do when Polo's DH and you kind of lose a little bit of that flexibility of what you can do right there, because you're not going to DH I mean, you're not going to pinch hit the DH. Rivas is already at second base. I guess is Cole Young on this roster?
No.
So who's your infield options after
Master Boney?
Master Boney is on there. See, Master Boney, I wouldn't even mind seeing him get some sort of at bat to get on base, because you could play him in right field if you needed to. I don't know. So I don't think you have to change your whole philosophy, but you'd like to see some of the things that worked throughout the season. Maybe it was earlier on in the season that you could get into this game. All hands are on deck. So I'm sure we're going to see lots of moves. And like they said on the broadcast, they're like, everybody enjoys Game 7, except for the managers. The managers hate Game 7s. And I'm like, I can agree with that. Or fans that have been watching their entire life and you're this close. And look, if the Mariners, for some reason, I don't want to put this out there, don't succeed tomorrow, it's been such a step forward for this team and this organization this year. I guess the thing that kind of bugs you, and we'll stay away from that, is like, if the pitchers that we had, our starting pitchers were the starting pitchers like they were last year, just mixed with what you can do and scrape together offensively now with this much improved lineup, this would be a whole different scenario. So it's just been an uphill battle for the pitchers. You've seen them turn it around for pretty much the most part in the last 5 weeks. And if you go through a 162, you do see the pitchers go through these ebbs and flows, and you really need to get them back to that, what they were in Game 5. If they can bring the Game 5 from Detroit pitching, just to be clear, let me reiterate that so I don't confuse me. If you can get the performances like you did in that Detroit series in Game 5 tomorrow in Game 7, if they can just, bear down and come back to that, the Mariners are going to be in really good shape here in Game 7.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you should just end with Sushi Dude 12s, the ones before that. I think that's perfect, and I feel the same way.
What drives me crazy is who the F will be our starter. Well, it's George Kirby. If you didn't know, it's yes, they will give the ball to Kirby. And then after that, that's all hands on deck. You can throw every and anybody you have to, because there is no tomorrow. If you don't make these moves, you can't go back and make any changes. If you're new to this, I'm surprised people that are following baseball will ask me this. They're like, so wait, what happens if they lose today? So just so you know, if you're the casual fan, I know there's not casual. If you're just into this because you're bandwagoning, that's fine. It's a 7-game series. Tomorrow takes it all. It's 3-3. I'm getting these questions on here where you're like, how do people not know this? And what did you say I should end this on?
The very first thing that Sushi Dude said, hello, friends. Rough one tonight, but I believe we can get it done tomorrow. I agree, too. I think we have a really good chance.
Sorry, I didn't see Sushi Dudes. I'm looking down at I have the Instagram thing going. I got the Twitter thing going. I got them all going. I mean, I think there's a time to freak out and say negative stuff, and that now is not the time. It's Game 7. We flushed Game 6. God, I hope tomorrow is not our season finale. As much as we bitch and moan and go, God, I hate doing this fucking pod sometimes. Right now, I'm really enjoying it. And I would love for that to keep on going. I think the people that listen to this on the pod side that need to subscribe over on the YouTube side or join us on the social medias, I think they can agree. We're not ready to stop right now. And I know tomorrow, 4:00 Pacific, 7:00 Eastern is going to be, I don't even know how I'm going to feel tomorrow. I know that is going to be every single pitch, every single movement, every single camera shot, whatever is going to drive us crazy. And some people say it's the most exhilarating thing. I mean, I haven't felt the Game 7 for my hometown team. Shoot, I want to say what, a Sonics, a Game 7, if I can remember correctly, in like one of the conference final. I think we lost a Game 7 before. So
Yeah, and
we'll have to go back.
If you're a new hockey fan, 2 or 3 years ago when the Kraken lost in the second round to the Dallas Stars, but that's totally different than this. I mean, it's the same, but it's different. This is
We got one from Ned.
39 years.
Sorry, my thing was up. We got one from Ned from Long Beach. He gives us an idea, but I think this would be too hard for me. You guys should watch the game live and give your honest reaction. You can relate to everyone. Build up the brand. Those are viral moments. Sure.
That's true.
Yeah, I get it. This isn't WrestleMania, for like this is a bit. I mean, we could sit here and just have it on like this and watch the game. I don't know. I don't know if I could do it. All-star game, sure. Regular season game, next season, because no matter what, we're going to be back next season. Because our rule was the only way we're getting out of this podcast is if we win a World Series and then we get dethroned.
Oh, I thought as if we get to the World Series. That's what I thought it was.
No end dethroned. So basically, if we win this world, if we can beat Toronto, we get to the World Series. Then next year we're going to be the Randy Quaid character that wants our team to lose constantly. That's where our whole character. We're going to do a whole character shift of where we're just hoping for the Mariners to lose. Because once we get our World Series title, I don't know how. I mean, I want to be in that mindset someday that I just don't hold on to baseball and the Seattle Mariners so tightly that I do. Like for me as a sports fan, when the Seahawks finally won the Super Bowl and they were out of that window, I have to admit, it stopped being such a priority to me. And I would love to get in that mindset and just have here on the wall some sort of something that says the Mariners win the World Series or they're World Series champions. I know we're far, far too long in this world to get the Sports Illustrated phone, but that was always something I always wanted. And we still need to visualize World Series. We have to wake up tomorrow with the same. As a fan, you need to wake up. Hopefully today you're waking up like you did today going, hey, this is the day that the Mariners can win one game and get into the World Series. It's no different than the following day that you thought this, except for you don't have as many chances. You have half the chances, but you still have one game, and just keep telling yourself that all they got to do is win this game. This is like an NFL playoff game right now. It's one. Like the
winner take all.
Thumbnail says, winner take all. It's go big, go home. This is it. Be excited about it.
Be our hero, Dom Canzone.
Yeah, I hope Dom Canzone is our hero, and we just are lambasted on other people find this on YouTube, which is hard to find. Nobody likes this, and they remix this and say, "Listen to these two idiots. They don't even know what GGS means." It's a good game. Dom Canzone has a GGS. All right, a good game. Anyways, I think that's where we're gonna end it. We're laughing, we're feeling good. Just like probably the guys in the locker room are, they're probably loose. Like Julio said, this is a great opportunity. They still have an opportunity. When people say they blew opportunities, it's like Derek Jeter said, it's hard to eliminate teams and put that last nail in the coffin, especially good teams when you've gone this far.
Yeah.
Anyways, if you like what we're doing here, subscribe. If you have something to say, as you can see, we go through the Instagrams once in a while and pull stuff up, the Twitter, whatever. We're happy to be doing this podcast. We'll be back tomorrow no matter what. And hopefully it's not our season finale. And with that being said, Hanno, you know what time it is.